Hello again, everyone. Mike Fiorillo here, Sports Close-Up. My co-host Jim Berger's on assignment. Today's topic, the art of distance running with two standout runners of Crawford County. To my left, Jim Lombardi. Jim, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
And to his left, Tom Hayden. Tom, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And let's start by asking you both. We'll start with you, Jim. When you started running, how old were you, and why have you kept running all these years?
Okay, so in 1959 I started running, 57 years ago. And
I was 6 by then, but
so I think I was 19.
You were 19.
So I've been running every year since, competing in races and training. I've run in at least one race every year since then.
Tell us, the viewers, why you started running at such an early age and how you got motivated to start running. You know, what was the first day like? You just go out and say, I'm going to start running? What happened?
I remember when I was a real little kid, I just loved to run. I'd go to the store, I'd run.
And this was where? Where were you?
In Montclair, New Jersey. So I just loved running, and then I figured I'd go out for track. And I thought I was fast. So I went out for track, Montclair High, and I learned in 1 week what fast really was. And so I decided to run the quarter mile. And then the next year I was at the half mile. When I went to college, it was the mile and the 2 mile and the 3 mile.
And where was this college?
Gettysburg College.
Okay.
And then after that, I ran all kinds of distances.
So you ran for Gettysburg?
Yeah.
Awesome.
The main reason was because I like competition.
Okay.
And that's changed, though. I mean, I just love to run now.
When you first started running at such an early age, was there ever any disappointment? Like, did you say, I don't know if I want to continue to do this, or you just loved it from the beginning?
Not a long-lasting disappointment. From the start, I just loved it. I love to think about it. I love to do it. I love to talk to people about it. You know, and if there was something that was going to prevent it, I'd somehow try to get around it. You know?
Oh, interesting. Okay, let's go to Tom. Tom, if I'm not mistaken, you're raised and born in Townville area, is that correct?
That's right.
Okay.
I'm a country boy.
All right. Now, when did you start running? Is that because you lived out in the country?
Well, actually, could almost say ditto to what Jim said, except that was probably, the main thing was country boy. So, I mean, just opportunities all the time to run around doing chores and running here and there. And, yeah, really, that's how I got started. And then, almost like Jim, we were Townville at that time before the merger, and we were, as far as I know, the only small school that had a track and field program. Now, we had no track, so we had to run just out in the boondocks, and we ran around the football field for the shorter distance people. And
did you actually
of course,
have a team that competed against other schools?
Well, we did, but the downfall of that was, again, we graduated like 65, 70 people a year, so we were always competing against Franklin, Meadville, Titusville, all the large schools. So it was an eye opener, but it was it was fun. And like Jim said, just loved it, and yeah. A lot of my workouts were just actually after my track workouts, trying to get home because we didn't have buses to transport people.
You had to run home too.
Yeah, so I had no way home, so I'd run home sometimes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, so both of you started running at an early age. You started, life goes on, you get a little bit older, you meet your spouses, you get married, sometimes family, not that they're getting away, but you have other responsibilities. You're both getting an occupation in education, both of you. You're becoming a professor at Allegheny College teaching science, and which is really interesting, Tom, you became a teacher at Crawford Central School District teaching science, so maybe science people like to run.
About science, huh?
About science.
There's a lot to say for that, yeah.
Yeah, so did you feel like you couldn't run after a while, or was your family supportive?
Yeah, at times I would just run less. Whenever there was, something going on, I'd run less. But I always would run because I knew that when I was running, and Tom would agree to this, I'm sure, when you're out running, you can solve your problems. And just think about things, say, oh, wait, I just thought about how to get around that, even for work kind of things, work situations. And I could go out for a run, 5-mile run around here, and get back and not even remember that I ran because I was thinking about other stuff, right?
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. My situation was, I'm not trying to outdo you, Jim, but actually it was crazier to try to fit in running because I was not only teaching, but as you know, I was coaching full time.
Yeah.
And to try to juggle the running in was had to do a lot of strategic planning to try to get running for the day. But but you're dead on that. As being a teacher, and it was necessary to hand in lesson plans, and they had to be looked at and scrutinized and so forth. And I basically did all my lesson plans on my runs. So instead of sitting down at a table and having to work those out, the running actually gave me time to do a lot of my planning, totally. And same way with my coaching planning. So.
Some people have told me, some reading and some listening to people over the years, that say they get this quote natural high from running. I ran a little bit. I never quite got the natural high from running, but
you didn't go far enough.
What are they talking about? And if you don't run because of maybe an injury or a sickness or whatever, do you feel guilty?
I've been running a lot, almost every day, so I can't really attest to it. But I have been injured, and I would, I'd have to creep through the workout or whatever, or not run or but it wouldn't make me feel down. It would. The first thing when I get up in the morning, when am I going to run today? When am I going to fit it in? And if I knew that later in the day I couldn't do it, I'd be up at 6 o'clock. Or I remember sometimes being up at 5:30 and just getting out and run. Just get it out of the way. Nice run.
Would that be same in January or February when it's 20 degrees out?
Well, luckily I can go to the Y Center.
Okay. Sure.
See, I thank God for that, because I can go down there, just jog down a half mile, run around all I want. They have indoor tracks. They have that track. They have the, facilities with treadmills and weights and stuff. So I lucked out in that regard. I really know.
Well, Tom, I know you don't have the Y Center, because I remember when my kids were small, we'd look out the window and watch you run by with icicles on your. Then you had a mustache. Same thing for you. Do you get like a natural high from running? Does that make you come back? And if you can't run, I know you had some sickness in the past. You feel bad when you miss time not running?
Yeah, I don't know if I don't quite understand myself what they talk about with a natural high. It's just simply that it's like a lifestyle. And so it's like, okay, get up in the morning, you have to brush your teeth. Well, in our case, it's like brushing your teeth. Okay, when am I going to run today? Exactly. Probably the only difference is, I didn't have the Y Center, so weather was, never an issue. I mean, it was like, okay, it's snowing and blowing today. Well, you just put on an extra layer. Or
did
cold.
you look at that as a challenge?
So,
like when you thought, hey, I got to beat this storm or whatever?
Yeah. So I could still remember. There was two funny little stories on that, but I still have this newspaper clipping where it was an unbelievable storm, and the Tribune photographer just was out and about and decided to take a photograph showing how bad it was, and he happened to snap it along Hamilton Road right here, and it had nothing to do with me, but they, it was just a picture of how bad, it was weather-wise, and picked that up the next morning. I told my wife, I said, see that guy that's in the picture? That's me. That was me in the picture running up Hamilton Road. And then we had another time. We used to have a nice group of guys, mostly longer distance guys, Jack Hunter and several of us, and Charlie Flynn, and one of the people that was running long distance at that time, no longer in the area, was Ron Power. And Ron and I decided to go out one day on a long run, and he really wanted to go. And I said, Ron, are you sure you want to go in this weather? And yeah. So we took off and went down Limber Road, and eventually worked into the Woodcock, swimming area and the camping area and everything. And I'll never forget when we came back, and we were running in snow. No, exactly. I mean, up to our knees.
Wow.
And Ron came. I looked back, and oh my God, he just looked like a bloody mess. But he was working so hard in that snow, and he had gotten a nosebleed. We talk about that all the time, but it was weather related. So.
Well, actually, now that he's mentioning it, I just didn't think about it, but I had a lot of experiences like that. I mean, the Y Center's been recent.
Right.
As I got older, I
Right.
could go down there and train. But
Right.
in the old days, I used to do same stories, really. And I still talk about the running in the cold weather.
So did you like feel like real happy about yourself when you got in the house and you beat the conditions, you know, where most of us are probably drinking a coffee or having a donut or something. You're out there running 5-6 miles and
I feel good about it.
yeah.
But not because you were eating your donuts.
Now with Mary Jane and Joyce, just like probably shake their heads when you guys walked in out.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you guys are crazy.
They're still shaking their heads.
Yeah.
So would it be fair to say, is there an age where people shouldn't start running? Could you start at 50 or 60 even if you haven't run before?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think so.
Well, there has to be an age. But on the other hand, you know of Lou Laudavecchia?
Well, I know several people that have started late, so.
And he's like 60 years old when he started, and within 5 years he was beating pants out of 20-year-old people. And I guess he's still running. He's like 90 now, and you know, all kinds of.
Franny Allball started late.
Yeah, Franny Allball.
We have a gentleman now, Rod Brest, who's running well.
Yeah.
And Rod started late.
I didn't know. I was going to ask him about that.
Yeah, he did.
So if somebody out there wants to start getting into running, obviously they have to build up to longer distances, but let's look at equipment like pair of shorts when it's nice out. What about shoes? Are there certain shoes people should wear?
I wear these shoes all the time.
What are they?
They're
Is that a running type shoe?
Saucony Bullets. Yeah, well, I like them because they're light, and I don't like to run with even heavier shoes. I run 50 miles in these.
You have to get new pair every so often, or they wear out?
I'm so light that they don't wear out that fast.
Oh. Tom, what about you? Any special shoe you've liked over the years? Or?
I'm an ASICS guy. I've had success with ASICS, and I've gone through a variety of their styles and whatever. The DS gel trainer has worked well for me. I think it's just important. You have to have a good shoe. That's basically it for running. Just a good pair of shoes that's going to support, the kind of distances that we put in. So.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit, Jim. How much running do you do per week right now? First of all, not full disclosure here, you're over 70, even so you don't look it.
Okay.
So how many miles do you run as a 7-year-old right now a week?
I've been running. For a year and a half, I was running 40, and I was training for ultra marathons. Lately, I cut it back in the last 2 months to about 30, because I wanted to run shorter distances this summer, and I think I'll be going back to 40, 45 miles.
Do you feel a difference though when you cut it back? I mean, do you feel your body feel any different or not?
Yeah, at 30 miles, I'm more tired now because I'm trying to run faster. I've been running intervals on the track, and I think it's harder on me to run 30 than it is to run 40 at a slower pace. Yeah.
And Tom, you're a little younger than Jim. How many miles do you run a week now?
I'm doing anywhere between 35 and 45 a week. Yeah. When I was into the marathon racing on a regular basis, I was generally doing between 60 and 70 a week at that time. So, yeah. But I get scared every time this guy says fast, because he is fast. He's humbled me so many times. I've told Jim.
But not in the marathon.
He's
humbled me many times.
I've told Jim that
You guys
I
have been
can
in
tell
races. You both have been in.
I can tell you what's on the back of every shirt that he has in his wardrobe, because I'm constantly reading the back of his shirt.
But it's just the vice versa in the marathon.
So
I have run some good marathons, but not when I'm running against Tom.
You talk about shirts, and it's funny you bring that up, because I know a couple of years ago, one of the cross-country local team, I might have been Meadville's, had a shirt that said, "Your punishment is our sport." And that doesn't issue, because some teams have used punishment for running.
I know,
back in
and that's
the day.
a shame.
Yeah,
but
it is a shame.
But now,
It's just
cross country, that's not a punishment. That's what they do. So that's interesting.
I see why people like that shirt.
Yeah.
And I've seen it, But it's a shame that people like football players will think of running as punishment because it's so good for them.
Well, I think that's changed a lot over the years. I think coaches have gotten to understand how important it is to run. And, and let's talk about that. Both of you, I know Tom had some health scares a few years ago. Tom, how did running actually help you overcome those and make your body strong enough to, you know, go through what you did?
Yeah, well, yeah, it was an interesting 3 years, 2010 to 2013. I had 2 open heart surgeries, and the first one, they found it was all genetic. I had been born with a little discrepancy in the aortic valve, which they say, you know, becomes an issue when you get older, and it was as textbook as can be, so we underwent the surgery. After that, I mean, doctors were shaking their heads because I was back to running within probably 2 months.
You had a monitor, if I'm not mistaken, didn't you? That they would check when you were running or something?
Well, at one point, then, because it was an aortic valve replacement, you have a high risk of developing arrhythmic issues, which about 10 months after the surgery I did. So it was so severe, it was so erratic. They had to put in a pacemaker to control the heart rate, and whatever. Then you know, just bad luck, I guess. I eventually 2.5, 3 years after that surgery had gotten some bacteria in the bloodstream, endocarditis, and when you do, it destroys anything foreign in your body, a knee replacement, a hip replacement. In my case, it was a valve, and it just destroyed the valve, so I had to have my second open heart surgery in, well, 2013, so 3 years, it'll be 3 years this September.
Did you get another valve put in?
So I had to have another valve. Yeah, they had to remove everything because the bacteria was so bad that it just attacked and destroyed everything. So the ironic thing was they had to take the pacemaker rod because it had been destroyed, the lead wires, everything. But as they watched me in the ICU, they didn't see any heart rate issues. So they released me without the pacemaker, and I've been going 3 years. So I went from total dependency on a pacemaker for the heart rate and to not needing it at all. And that's, we have no answers for that. We can't, whatever. But in both cases, I mean, I'd say to anybody, you exercise, because the recovery, you know, still has quite a few of the cardiologists at Cleveland, and certainly my cardiologist, shaking their heads. In fact, I was excited just about 9 months ago in October. I was able to run my 46th marathon, which was actually the first one since 2001. And that was after 2 open hearts. Well, it was a struggle. I mean, it wasn't easy. I was undertrained. I mean, I wasn't trained like I used to, but I mean, it was probably the most exciting marathon of my life, knowing what I had gone through, and
I would think so.
And whatever, and to see. My only expectation was to just see the finish line. If I had to walk the last 6 miles, whatever, and actually it went well. I actually just missed qualifying for Boston again by 38 seconds,
which we're going to get into with you, because I know you qualified. You told me earlier at least 17 times for the Boston Marathon. You ran at 13. Jim.
Yes.
Health issues, does running, you think, kept you healthy all these years?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I feel good. I want to keep running. Thank God I haven't had a situation that Tom's had, but he's been able to deal with it. I have a feeling that I'd be able to do better with it if something came along. But I have had injuries, and I've learned how to deal with those.
You've had one, I think, a couple of years ago that you were concerned about, remember?
Achilles tendon injury that I got from doing stupid things while I'm running, and I've learned from it, but it hung on for such a long time, and I learned from a massage therapist in Amsterdam what to do. And so I use self-massage on my Achilles tendon and my legs, and I think it's paid off a lot.
Yeah, you've had problems with that, and until you went to, like you said, Amsterdam, where your daughter lives, and to visit her and her family, you came across this person, and it's amazing like a miracle, huh?
Yeah, he's the therapist for the National Ballet in Amsterdam. So you know that he knows how to deal with Achilles tendon problems.
There you go. Wow.
And he got me on a table, and he was just massaging the heck out of my Achilles and my foot. I thought he was going to kill me. After 15, 20 minutes, I said I was going to get up, and I was going to say, that's enough. Excuse me. He stopped, and I got up, and he said, okay, how do you feel? I felt good. I felt good.
Wow.
So, and then I went back 4 days later. He did it again. I felt even better, and then I was able to run again. Like, I mean, really run.
And that's
but I keep doing it.
No drugs or anything.
No cortisone shots. No nothing. And it's just massage. And
So
if I were to try to help an older runner in some way, I tell him, massage your legs.
Yeah, you're sitting next to an not older than you.
Massage your legs.
That's a good thing.
But
to know.
I do try
We
to
have
tell.
to chat more after this
I do
show.
try to tell people about it. Yeah.
And let's talk about, let's go to Tom first. Tom, as I said before, 17 times you qualified for the Boston Marathon. You ran it Tom has run the Boston Marathon 13 times. Every time I think about that, I know the famous, I've never been able to hit the Heartbreak Hill thing. But when was your first time at Boston? Do you remember the first time and how excited you must have been and so forth?
You talk about an irony. What I really remember well is I already told you about the marathon that I just ran after the 2 Open Hearts. Well, that happened to be on an international marathon that starts in Buffalo and ends at Niagara Falls. And that was my first qualifying time under what was then the old stricter. They've really loosened the qualification times, but that was under the old stricter one. So I ran a 2:49, which was my best. And
that's always on the same day.
Boston,
right? Yeah,
it's just steeped in tradition.
Right.
Everything is Patriots Day, noon start, same course, Hopkinton to downtown Boston. It's so deep in tradition and history.
It's a beautiful city. Yeah.
It really is. So yeah, but actually, that Buffalo.
Was that always
to
a
Niagara,
goal of yours to qualify for Boston? Is that why?
It wasn't initially, but then I basically found that I finally reached a real milestone in my running career because I had to finally admit, after getting beat by Jim and others so bad, just all the time. I mean, race after race after race, probably hundreds of races. And I finally realized, you know what? I'm not very fast, but I can run long. And I can also dig deep. I have a tendency to be able to dig deep when things get really tough at that 21, 22, 23 mile mark.
So you would say mental discipline. Right? It's a lot of mental, obviously.
Yeah. So, so that's it. And so I finally decided, well, maybe the marathon should be my race. And so I shifted. It's kind of nice, go to a race and not see Jim every time, and to be able to be moderately successful at that distance. So
tell us about your first Boston Marathon. What year was it?
Oh, it was so exciting. It was 1986, and what was really exciting about that was the timing. Was that was also the first year that Boston started to give prize money. So up to that time, it was very much so an amateur race, but yeah, I got there, and my gosh, here were all the Kenyans and the Ethiopians from all over the world, and so it was just the excitement. And you and I were talking on the way over. I mean, I've run in a lot of major cities, including New York City, but there's just nothing like Boston because. Like New York City, they line the course with close to 2 million people, but the people of Boston, they just relate to that race so much, and you can feel that as a runner. You can hear the things that they're saying to the runners, which is very, that exhibits a knowledge of running itself just from the spectators. It's more than just a celebration, a day to go out and drink a few beers and clap while people go by. It's really unique.
Is that why you kept going back and qualify? Now, have you seen since '86, and you said it became prize money for the first time? Did you see a growth in the Boston Marathon?
It exploded in. I think prior to 1986, they were probably at maybe 4,000 to 6,000 runners, and now, I mean, they're up to like 25, I think, or 30, and in fact, they've even changed. The demand is so great, they've even had to change the qualifying procedure. Instead of just a set time, let's say like 3:30, now what they do is they do a rolling thing. So they'll take all the qualifying entrants that are at that qualifying 3:30 time, depending on your age, and then they'll start and they'll just take the people that are closest to that, or better than that. So it's conceivable that somebody could run, let's say, a 3:29 now and qualify for Boston under these time, but not get in because there are so many people that are trying to enter that were under 3:30.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's become, it's just staggering how popular that is as a race.
Let me ask you this question real quick, Tom. Since you've been there so many times and you enjoyed running there, you must have had such a tough reaction during the Boston. You probably knew exactly where it was.
I mean, I'm sitting there watching the broadcast, and I can relate to everything and every milestone marker that they're talking about, and everything. And of course, it was fascinating. I watched your show when you had John Spataro on. So that
was there.
John was there, and that show was kind of interesting because it just brought back so many memories. Yeah.
Jim, talk about some of the marathons that you run in the States and overseas.
For me, it wasn't a marathon distance, but when I think of my good races, they were at 25 kilometers. That was my distance, 15 and a half miles.
So where did you run?
So. The most important one was in 1968.
Okay.
And it was a hot day. It was in Central Park. And it was the Metropolitan Championship. So all of the runners from all over were there. And Gary Murky had been winning all the races that year, and I had been behind him a lot. But I just trained real hard for that one.
So you actually had to experience what I experienced with you.
Yeah. But I trained real hard, and I said, no matter what, it's 25 kilometers, 15 and a half miles, whatever he does, I'm going to do it. I don't care if I fail, drop dead.
Yeah.
So
he was your motivator.
He was my motivator. I knew he was good. He won the first New York City Marathon.
Okay.
In 1970. And so we started off, we hit the 2-mile mark in 10 minutes, 5 minutes a mile. And then he slowed up. He was trying to drop me right in the beginning. He slowed up, we got into a nice pace, but then every once in a while, he'd take off. I said, I'm sticking with my plan. Just went right with it. We ran elbow to elbow, or he was a little ahead of me once in a while, for 15 miles.
Wow.
And then we started running faster. We got to a quarter mile, and I outkicked him. So I came in first, and it used to be called a milk run. And if you look it up, you'll find out the milk run was the biggest race in New York City until they had the New York City Marathon. So that's the achievement. And a lot of times I think that race helped me continue my running career, because after that I went into grad school. I averaged 5:24 a mile. After that I went into grad school, and it was hard, and I didn't run all the time, but that was still in the back of my mind. I think I'm gonna get back to running. So when I moved to Meadville, I got back into running again, more seriously. And
that's when you used to be Tom Oldham.
then the other, well, not for a marathon, but for me was in, it was 1982. Remember the Peace Race?
Oh yeah.
25 kilometer run in Youngstown.
A real quality race. They brought in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they brought in some nice runners from all over the world.
Yeah. And I won a trip to Ireland in that race.
Wow.
I was the first I had just turned 40. I was the first Masters runner. And the story is, and I never really checked it out or
trip for
anything.
two?
Well, no, I had to pay for registration. We had to pay for registration, sorry. So, the Dublin runners, the Irish runners couldn't make the trip, and then Aer Lingus decided they were going to donate tickets to those runners, but they couldn't make the trip, so they had these free tickets, and they gave them to runners that came in first in the Masters groups to go to Ireland and run the Dublin Marathon. The next year I ran the Dublin Marathon.
Wow.
When you turn 40, that must be a good thing. I ran a great race when I turned 40, one of my marathons, and it was good enough. I won the Masters.
Yeah.
Same story.
Yeah.
And my claim to fame was it got me mentioned in Runner's World.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
Nice.
it is true that if you look at runners' times, like 30, 35, they're running okay, and then when they hit 40, they're running faster because they've been training hard to run in their in the Masters division.
Yeah.
And that was a big thing about running. When I was a kid, they didn't have age group running.
Right.
So people get to be 25 years old, they quit because they didn't have incentive.
Right.
And now they have the age group running, and it's been a real boon to running.
You've run a little bit overseas.
Yeah.
Since your daughter lives in Denmark now. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
I've run in the Amsterdam Marathon once and the half marathon another time. But they have a 6-hour run there in a park that I've run, and I just keep thinking about wanting to go back there to do it again because the group that put on
At the park, like you fell in dirt or mud one time or something.
No, that was another time. But the runners over there are real friendly. The group that put on the what's the name of that? Sri Chimnoy Running Club.
Sure.
It's a nationwide group. And they go around and they try to inspire running. They had this 6-hour run there in Amsterdam. Really, it was a great run. After the run, they asked our granddaughter Maureen to hand out the prizes.
Aww.
And in Amsterdam, the prizes are flowers, of course.
That's neat.
And so I got a nice photo of her just holding the flowers up to her.
That's cute.
Yeah.
That's great. Tom, when do you see yourself saying, that's enough running? Or do you ever see it? I mean, want to run when you're in your 70s, want to run when you're in your 80s?
I
you can't
think
run
probably
anymore?
we think alike. We'll probably run until we can't.
That's it. And I hope that we can just keep doing it.
Yeah.
And can't means we don't get up the next day.
There you go. That's right. Yeah. I mean, I think we both admit our perspectives are different, and I mean, I'm not as bent now on racing as I used to, but I still enjoy. And one of the things that I would like to get a plug on here,
Sure.
For
Right.
during the show is we're talking about running, and particularly older people running and so forth, but at any age, and I'm so proud to be part of the French Creek Recreationalist Trail people that are involved with the Ernst Trail, and man, just a fantastic opportunity for people in our area, to go out, and unlike Jim and I, who are out there our whole career running on the highways, and and particularly in the wintertime, slipping and sliding and worrying about cars and so forth, the Ernst Trail is just such a remarkable treasure, I think, for our community, and that's just a great place for people to just go out and start, walk, jog a little, and
People ride bicycles?
and I mean, it's getting more popular, but I just want to get a plug in and let people know and remind people that it's there. We're working on extensions, and
Make it longer?
oh yeah. And eventually we've got an extension right now in the works that's very close to getting us under the Plaza Bridge and into the plaza itself, and along Ainsworth there, with a long-range plan to end up and get us eventually to Bicentennial Park, where will actually really make it nice to access you know, the community, the town itself to access without having to drive over. And sometimes the parking can become an issue over at Beans Trailhead because it's becoming so popular. But just a great opportunity, and I would encourage people to do that. One of the things that bothers me so much, I don't know if you get this, but so many people, they talk to us, you know, and they're like humbled and say, oh, we only run 5 kilometers, or I can only run and I say, you know what, I have total respect for anybody that can go out and just get out there and run for a mile. You don't have to be a marathon runner.
I think walking is good.
I tell people, you know what, you're probably smarter than us because you're not beating up your body. But
no, walking is great.
Yeah.
That's more my speed.
So,
yeah,
get out there and just exercise.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about diet. I mean, you know, both of you are slim and trim, and you always look like, and I've seen Tom can put away food as much as anybody. But what about diet? Do you guys, before you can go on a run, not just everyday run, but I mean like a competition run, do you have a special diet, Jim, that you follow?
Typically lately, I've been just eating my cold cereal and a banana, and then I go out and run.
What about the rest of the day? You eat whatever you want?
I don't eat a lot of junk food, and I like to...
Soda? Stay away from soda?
I don't drink soda. I might drink some in a very long run because it has a lot of sugar, and if I need a boost, it has caffeine maybe, and I need a boost. Mary Jane, you know, she helps me out by giving me stuff that I need. She'll give me a bottle of Coke, or I might drink some of it, and that perks you up. But usually in a long run, I'll take gels and Gatorade.
What about?
But typical food, you know, like I eat meat, not a lot of it.
Okay,
I like to eat vegetables and fruit. Fruit is my mainstay. I love fruit, bananas, apples, cherries, vegetables. Green beans are really good.
Ice cream once in a while?
I have ice cream a lot. 5 days a week, probably.
That's a funny story because that probably explains why Jim's a better runner than I am. Probably the only time that I'm disciplined is before a marathon. I do the typical pasta for the carbohydrates and, you know, to maintain some energy the next day. But people ask me, I get that a lot, and they also talk about, you know, do you read this book and you read that magazine and so forth. And when I tell people, I am totally the Forrest Gump of running. I don't pay attention to any. I eat way too much junk food. I eat everything and anything I want. Soda.
Do you eat differently since you had your surgery?
No, not at all. Not at all.
You don't have to, or you just
I am Forrest Gump. And when it comes to, I just go out and run because I love to run, and I've never gotten involved in all the little idiosyncrasies that people get hung up on training, running, eating.
Maybe that's why
I just want to run.
Maybe that's why he still does it, though, in a way. You know, because sometimes I think it would be hard for people just to stay in a pattern their whole life. Like, I can never eat this. I can never eat this.
Right.
Yeah.
You seem like
he's much more disciplined than
it's
than
not a discipline. I think it's really the way I was. You know, when I was a kid, we never drank soda.
So,
you know, and I just never got the interest. So I don't miss it.
You never drank soda living in New Jersey? Well, you're deprived.
Yeah, we never had it in the house. Yeah, it was different.
We even had soda in the country. Whatever. I can't believe that.
You guys are funny. Advice. You talked about advice.
Oh, I thought you said vice.
Your son became a runner, and a real good runner for Meadville back in the day. Yeah. Did he pick up that? Did you encourage him, or he just watched you started running and then I want to run?
Definitely encouraged it. I mean,
okay.
I did. But he was a good soccer player.
But something you still got to like to do. Right, exactly.
And I think he loved soccer.
Right.
So he would be always running. So, and when he wanted to run track and do some cross-country running, I encouraged. Yeah, definitely.
Have you guys ever run marathons together?
Half marathon. Yeah.
No, it's been a great feeling for you.
Yeah. He was in college, and we ran the Presque Isle half marathon. So that would be right around 1992 or something like that. I outkicked him.
That made you feel good also too, right? I beat you.
Well,
so.
in a way it did, yeah. Because I said, this is the last time it's going to happen. Like a month before, we were running no, he was in high school. We were running a Slippery Rock, a 5K. So we were in second and third place, and there's a guy, you know, like 50 meters ahead. And he says, we have like a little bit left, maybe half a mile. He said, Dad, you know, I think I could beat that guy. I said, go do it. And he did. Yeah. So that was another great day for me. Yeah.
That's great. Tom, your family, you know, your son, your daughter, any of them ever think they wanted to run? I know they were both athletic and they both did well in volleyball and so
Yeah, well,
forth.
we had to make a choice in my family because they obviously had to watch me as a volleyball coach,
Yeah,
and they also had to watch me as a runner. And so I guess we kind of decided, well, you're going to play volleyball if you want to eat breakfast tomorrow morning. So they did. They both ended up playing volleyball collegiately. They do a little bit of running, but you know, running, I mean, they're certainly not as crazy as I am. So, yeah.
What about your wives? Did your wives ever try a little running? Mary Jane ever tried a little running?
No.
Since you run so long, Joyce ever try a little running?
A little bit, but she's a very avid walker.
Yeah.
Very avid bicyclist. In fact, most of the time when we go for a walk or a bike ride, she's way out ahead of me. I mean, and I have to tell her to slow down because, you know, it's like when I run, that's when I'm racing, but when I'm walking or riding, you know, I want to just slow down and enjoy it. But yeah, it's exciting, and recent, like in the last 3 or 4 years, she has found the pickleball.
Right.
And that's really picked up in this area. They have a nice group down and playing Mondays and Wednesdays at the rec complex, and that's kind of like her niche, and she's become very good at it. And in fact, she kicks my butt. So not running, but she's very active.
Very active.
I do have a story about Mary Jane and running.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we first met, I was working out. I was running half laps on the track, 200 meters, and I did a few of them. You know, I was running like 32 or 33 seconds. So she said, I can do that. I said, you can't do that. So she said, I can do that. So she even put my spikes on. This is a cinder track.
Oh, wow.
So, and they were a little big for her. But I still remember, she ran a 32.
Wow.
And that's when I said, you know,
you can do
she's got good genes.
Wow.
So, yeah, I think she could have been a runner.
But she chose to go her own way.
Well, she loved tennis. She was great.
Okay. Great. Guys, anything we missed about running and so popular, even today is so popular, and we got the Olympics coming up, and we'll be seeing running in the Olympics. That's something you guys watch, the Olympics?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
We'll be watching the Olympics. Yeah.
And how come, you know, you mentioned a little bit before time we went to Boston, how come it seems like the Jamaicans, I guess, and other countries
have no idea.
have such good distance runners?
I don't know, and I don't know because again, I don't do enough of the reading of magazines and books and so I don't know if there's how much research has been done as to try to answer that question.
There's a good book
you can't question their success.
Running with the Kenyans.
Okay.
I forget the author, but this guy is a runner, and he goes over to Kenya and he tries to figure that what you just asked, and I don't think he comes up with a good answer. He got all kinds of theories and stuff, but running with the Kenyans might answer that question.
All right, and then you have a book here, and you brought this out. Just little books that you keep all your stats from running all the time.
I started in 1962 to
What do you put in there? How long you run and how fast, or what?
Well, this is my recent book. This is the 37th book.
37 edition.
I have all my workouts.
You still have all of them?
So, like, it just goes like Monday, May 16th, 4 miles. I walked and ran to the college track, 2 miles on the track, 3 miles alternating walking and running.
So you keep a journal?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I go back and I look. It's like say, okay, I go back and look and see what I was doing in years past because I want to match it or something, or tell somebody else about it. So I started a running website,
Okay, why don't you
This-
tell us what that is.
This book and the ones like it, they just,
What's the
help out.
running website?
it's jimruns.com.
JimRuns.com.
And the main reason I'm doing this is because I want to share what I've done over the years with other runners, help them. That's the main thrust of it, to help them run and to enjoy running. So there's a part where I talk about my training. I have all kinds of workouts there that I've done when I've done certain races, before the races. And there's a part, joy of running, why I like to run. There's a part on training injuries, how I've overcome, and
like the Achilles
stuff like
thing
that.
with the massage and so
Yeah,
forth?
yeah. There's actually a YouTube video on how I massage my Achilles,
Really?
and there's a link there.
Is that you massaging it, or
Huh?
doctor? Who's massaging the...
I'm doing it.
You're doing it.
I took
Mary
off.
Jane was on the camera?
Oh, who? No, I have a granddaughter, Abby
Uh-huh.
Lombardi, who is
Right.
a great videographer, and she is so good at this stuff. She helped me with it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Your granddaughter, didn't one of your granddaughters run also? Or no?
Yeah, Abby.
Yeah, Abby,
She
yeah.
ran. She ran last year
Yeah.
track. She did real well.
Yeah.
But now she's involved with music and cheerleading and
Nice.
all kinds of stuff.
Tommy, you said you just write down notes on pieces of paper.
I just have a standard monthly calendar sheet. I just made it myself, and yeah, each day, kind of like not as much detail as Jim, but I can look at my charts, my stack of charts, papers, and I can tell you exactly what I ran and what the time was for July 17th of 1982, if you want to know.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Now, you spend some time in Florida now. These
I
days,
do.
In your Joyce. Obviously, you run down there every day, right?
Oh yeah, it's kind of a relief, you know, to leave Meadville in January, February, and March, and not have to run in the snow and freezing temperatures, and then go out
You
in
run
my
early
shorts.
morning because does it get real hot there sometimes?
Well, January, February, and March. When we get into March, we're way down. We're down
Right.
in the Naples area, so yeah, it starts to warm. But but I generally run in the morning anyway.
do you run
just to get it
do you
done.
run the streets, the sidewalks, or do you run the beach?
I don't run the beach. No, they've done a really wonderful job, in at least in our area of Florida, in the Naples area. I mean, they've just got specific, almost like Ernst Trail areas, you know, along the roads. And you know, I have one loop down here that's just all asphalt for like a 5-mile loop right along Route 41, which is, you know, a very busy north-south corridor in that area, and along 951, which goes on to Marco Island. And I don't have to deal with traffic at all. It's wonderful.
Nice. And Jim, when you go over to Amsterdam to see your daughter and her family, you have a place for you to run, or you just run along
Yeah,
the streets? or-
they Amsterdam Sabas, which means Amsterdam's woods, and there's a area that's a couple miles wide and a few miles long, and there's a half marathon trails there, and I love running there, and around the streets are good too. Yeah, there's always a place to run.
Always a place to run.
Does it take you a day or so to get used to the different time?
Yeah,
When you
a
get
few
there for your
days.
body?
3 or 4 days. Yeah.
Well, guys, I want to thank you both for
It's
sharing
been
some
great.
stories
It has.
about running. Both of you guys, you know, science teachers, runners. There's got to be something to it. Like Tom said earlier, known you guys for a long time. Both of you outstanding runners, but also outstanding people. Both educators, which means you gave back. You know, you also helped a lot of
Thank
people.
you.
And
Thank
by the way, before I stop, Tom and Jim, let's talk about this for a few minutes. Tom, do you still see some former students saying, "How you doing, Mr. Hayden?" and so forth once in a while?
Oh, well, you were in education, Mike, and you know the hundreds of people that we came across each year. And yeah, I mean, that's just such a thrill. I mean, it's you're retired now, but yeah, to run into those people, and you know, you come across this, particularly the people that have gone on and become successful, and yeah, and the same way with my coaching. Probably, you know, one of the most rewarding parts of my coaching was not the wins and losses and any banners that are up in the gym, but you know, to run into those people and to see how successful they've been at the collegiate level. Or I still have players from the first couple years that I coached that are still playing.
Yeah, that's the best. That's a great.
Yeah.
And Tom, being modest too, he has the most banners hanging in the gym in volleyball. He started the female. I mean, he started to really build that program. And kept it. Jim, same with you, being a professor at Allegheny. You run across some former students.
All the time.
Keep in contact with them.
Keep in contact. People call me, especially around Thanksgiving time.
Nice.
How about Jenny Colgrove?
Well, I've seen her lately. And
why don't you tell her about who she is?
Jenny Colgrove, well, Jennifer Martin, I guess now.
Okay.
Jenny Colgrove was at Allegheny, and she started running, before women were really into it. And she was really good all of a sudden. And she ran here at the college. And she would run with the men's team practicing.
Nice.
And then she went on to be a great marathon runner. Won the Chicago Marathon, and probably other ones too. And she was really gave a lot of people incentive, a lot of women incentive.
Oh yeah.
To run. And
role model for other females.
Yeah.
All right, well, guys, again, thanks to both of you for coming on. Thanks for sharing some stories. For Tom Hayden, Jim Lombardi, this is Mike Fiorello. You've been watching Sports Close-Up on Armstrong.